Does this resonate with you? Is your business running you as the owner, or as an owner, are you running your business? If it's the former rather than the latter, then this video should help put things in perspective, and more importantly, what you can do about your company running you. Hi, my name is Rob Goddard, and I'm joined today by Jason Green. Hello, Jason.
Hi, Rob. Great to be here.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining me. You and I connected earlier this year, and we have quite a lot in common, even though we've never met, which is we share a frustration in business, which is the issue of business owners letting go of their business. So perhaps you could just start off our conversation just saying, what is it that you do? And then we'll lead it. I've got some questions, so we'll lead into that after. But what do you do, and what motivates you
Yeah,
in what you do?
So essentially, I help business owners get what they want from their business. So that's whether they want a business that is going to sustain them with revenue over a long period of time, whether they want to sell the business, whether they want to just work less hours in the business, whatever they want from the business. And I do that by helping them implement a system called EOS, which is the Entrepreneurial Operating System. And that operating system is outlined in this book called Traction by Gino Wickman. And Gino created this book because he spent a lot of time looking at business owners and businesses, and he obsessed about why 5-10% of businesses succeed, and why the vast majority of businesses never sort of grow, as we said, over £1 million or $1 million. And so he obsessed about the differences, why some were successful and some weren't successful. And what he did is, over a period of time, he put together a system that helps companies go from good to great. And we do that by helping companies get better at three things we call vision, traction, and healthy. So vision is getting everybody 100% on the same page with where you're going and how you plan to get there. Traction is instilling discipline and accountability throughout the organization. So no matter where you go, you see people executing on that vision. And healthy, really making you a healthy, functioning, cohesive team, because often you're not.
You very kindly sent me a copy of that book, which I read a few months ago. And I found myself, my other half found me nodding and smiling throughout. It resonated so much, the business person's journey, really. And you're right. Only 3% of businesses turn over more than £1 million in this country. And it's a similar percentage in other countries that I've worked in and done this. So most businesses never turn over more than £1 million. And worse than that, 20% of startups never get beyond year one.
Exactly.
So there is something fundamental, isn't there, in how, as owner managers, we set up and try to grow our business that doesn't get, forgive the pun, traction.
Yeah.
It isn't a sustainable, most people don't grow into a sustainable, larger business. And yet their business is their pension, they tell me, in the last 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. And so
their pension is somewhat lacking when they need it.
When they need it, exactly. When it's too late.
So what's your experience been when you've been meeting business owners? What are the three barriers to them going forward with this program, this system?
So, one of the things is you're really admitting that the business isn't going in the direction that you want it to go in. Because we all start our business with a dream. And we tend to start a business because we're good at doing something, and we think, oh, we could do that better than the place I'm working at, or we can just do it better. And so we start our business with these dreams of having a successful business, having more time with the family, having more money. But the reality is that most business owners don't let go. So they end up being the business. And, being in that, when you do that, essentially what happens is you burn out. And so first of all, you've got to admit that you've got a problem, that your business isn't going where it wants to go.
Almost like someone that's got, I'm thinking of Alcoholics Anonymous. You've got to acknowledge that there is a problem.
Exactly. Yeah. So I call them adrenaline junkies.
Right. Yeah. That's probably a more, yeah, that's a very good analogy.
Exactly. Where you get consumed and you get excited about all the problems you've got in your business. You never really solve them at the root, but you get this, you feed off it.
Yeah,
it doesn't move your business forward.
And particularly infectious, because if your solution succeeds, that just fuels it further, doesn't it?
Exactly. So you want these quick fixes.
Quick hits. Yeah.
So that's the first thing. You've got to acknowledge it. Then you've got to really have the ambition to make a change. And really, and I know this is, this gets overused, but, get out of the business and start working on the business. Yeah. It's something that gets overused so much, but it's so true.
How many people have read Michael Gerber and the E-Myth that you're referring to in the last 30 years and then subsequently ignored it?
Well, the same with traction.
We can all agree with the principles, can't we? But implementing the principles, that's the tough one.
Yeah. Look, I mean, if you read Traction, and by the way, just so you know, I've made a pledge to give 1,000 copies of Traction away. I'm at about 367 or something like that at the moment.
Right.
And I've made a pledge to give 1,000 away by the end of next year. So anyone that's watching this, you want a copy, email Rob, let Rob know, or me. I don't know what details.
No, I can thoroughly recommend it. It resonated. It was real world writing. And there's theoretical nonsense.
No, and there's no rocket. It's not rocket science, is it?
No,
it's simple. And when I first read Traction, my first thought was, I just went to myself, oh my God, what have I been doing in my business all these years?
Yeah.
I was mortified with myself.
Well, although it is, at the same token, it's reassuring that we're no different to most people. Most of us fall into the trap. I know I have as well. And it's only when you experience those problems. I often call it being imprisoned by your own business. You're shackled to the thing that you've created.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to get an exit strategy because you are fundamentally the business or part of the business.
Exactly.
I think it was Simon Sinek said that you've got a problem where the business is running the owner, not the owner running the business.
Exactly.
If you haven't got enough hours in the day, and if you can't go on holiday without taking your laptop with you, you've got a problem. The business is running you.
Exactly. Yeah, we call that being out of control.
Yeah, but sometimes you see it, particularly on LinkedIn, sometimes YouTube, these people working on their business with a laptop on a beach.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're selling financial freedom and they usually get rich quick schemes. And I know you and I have a similar thought on get rich quick.
Yeah. It's
which is nonsense.
Yeah, I mean there's so many, go on LinkedIn, there's so many adverts, turn your business around in 90 days,
around.
I mean, how do you do that?
What you do is you spend £4,997 on a course with them, and they'll sell you the secret sauce. But you and I know, and the vast majority of business owners know, it takes years.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm a great advocate that business owners should prepare for selling their business years in advance, not months. And that fits in neatly with what you do in your area of expertise. Is you work with them, you go on that journey with them.
Yeah, I mean, my journey with a client is typically about 2 years.
Yeah.
Working with the leadership team, teaching them EOS, teaching them the tools, getting them to migrate those tools all the way down into the business. And
What's one of the most common aspects that you discover early doors when you work with an owner and their leadership team? What tends to crop up as an initial hurdle?
so one of the first things we work on with a leadership team, and this is one of my most favorite parts of the journey, is what we call the accountability chart.
Right.
And essentially what that is we do this with a leadership team, and it's understanding we basically create the structure of the organization before people. And so this is about getting right people in the right seats. You've got to have both. So right people are folks that share your core values, so you want to surround yourself with like-minded people. Right seats are people that want and have the capacity to do their job well.
Right.
So what we do is we create the structure, we create the seats, and in the seat we put the 5 roles that seat is accountable for, because it's all about accountability. And so I'm there with the leadership team. We build this little structure, typically with what we call an integrator, which is like a COO, and sales and marketing, a few operating functions, and maybe finance. And then we go about putting the leadership team in seats, in the seats that they love, that they can consistently execute on, which they're going to be great at, which they have the skills for. And so generally what we find is, one, there are seats that nobody wants.
Can you let the audience know what is a typical one that comes up? Is it the numbers?
No, usually finance is fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because usually there's a finance person. Often in smaller companies,
outsourced.
So it could be outsourced, but also in smaller companies where you haven't got such a big leadership team, you find let me give you some examples. Yeah. So first of all, you've got seats that nobody wants. Okay, then you've got seats that 2 people want to fight over.
Right.
That they want. Then you've got seats where there's 2 people in a seat, and you can never have 2 people in one seat, because when 2 people are accountable, nobody is accountable. And then the last one is when you've got 1 person in all the seats, which is usually the business owner.
Yeah, because they can.
Because they can. And so it creates this amazing self-awareness about how you are going to build the company, over the next 6 to 12 months to get you on your journey. So we call it right people, right seats. You've got to have both.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love that example. That must be quite fun to do when you've got real people in a real setting, and you've got that scenario unfolds.
Exactly. It really brings everything to the surface, and they can see where their dysfunction is.
Yeah, in 20 years of selling businesses, I've been a great proponent, a regular. I beat the same drum, Jason, that people should prepare their business years in advance, not just think about it and say, I'm going to sell it this year.
Yeah.
Typically doesn't work well. 80% of businesses in this country don't sell year to year. And there's a number of reasons why. A key one is just what we've covered, which is an owner-reliant business that's controlled extensively, and the talent within their leadership team doesn't flourish as much as it could.
Because they're not given the opportunity.
No, and there are some, I'm sure no one listening to this in my audience or your audience falls into this, but there are a few business owners that are control freaks.
I don't think so, are there?
Just a few. And in fact, the enlightened business owner is the one that can let go, not abdication. It is delegation and upskilling and allowing your team that you've recruited generally, or you've recruited them to fulfill their potential.
Yeah.
And actually, for the business owner, the payback is that they don't have to work so hard. The business doesn't need them 24/7.
Yeah.
And they can have the things that you mentioned 5 minutes ago, which is more leisure time, more time with their family. maybe not take the laptop with them on holiday, or even the mobile phone. How about that? Go back to the 1970s.
Exactly.
You go on holiday and no one could contact you unless they rang the hotel.
Yeah, that would be novel, wouldn't it?
You could actually enjoy your time in the mountains or the beach. So I've been a great advocate for business owners to prepare. Sometimes the response I get back, Jason, is, well, that's all right. I don't mind staying on. And my face falls when they say that. And they look confused. And they say, well, no, I'm prepared to work 2 or 3 years under new ownership. I say, are you nuts? When's the last time you had a boss, John, Mary, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, business owners are unemployable.
Most of us are, yes.
Yeah, well, I'm completely unemployable.
But I think it's that realization that the world that they're contemplating to get over this issue of not preparing their business years in advance is, well, I'll stay on anyway. And that's actually not what most acquirers want. I can categorically say the old guard staying on is that there could be a lightning rod for dissatisfaction.
Yeah.
It's confusing for the staff as well.
Exactly.
So a great advocate, and in terms of business owners actually preparing, doing something, getting an outside party into their business to work with them, prepare the business, and also I would say as well, Jason, to prepare them as an individual, because it's an emotional transaction to sell a business.
But I think
financial.
I think the more that you can let go through the journey, when you get to sell the business, the more comfortable you are selling it, because you've already taken a step back, and it's not such an emotional decision at that stage.
And also a buyer doesn't want to pick up the large salary bill of having the old owner staying there.
Exactly. We take most of the profit out of the business.
And all the other directors' whims that go with it.
Exactly.
I say directors' whims in case there's any accountants listening.
Yeah. But I just want to go back to what you said about the sort of long term, planning long term. So important to have that vision, that 5-year target, 10-year target, to get where, to have somewhere that you're heading towards, rather than just meandering, around, and just doing things day to day. You've got to have that goal in mind.
No, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. And as someone I've had the privilege of seeing over the line several hundred successful transactions the last 2 decades. And there is something that often comes up from a buyer, which is something called an earnout. And if you haven't prepared your business long-term in advance, you're far more likely to have an earnout as the only offer from a buyer. And it'll also affect the cash on completion amount as well, because it's higher risk for the new owner coming in. So if you want to mitigate the chances of getting an earnout, and there's no guarantee, for those of you who may not be familiar with earnouts, that's where you don't get the full amount of the purchase price on day one. It's on the drip, and it's contingent on can be on all sorts of factors. A common one is net profit, but it can be other factors as well.
Yeah.
The problem with selling your business with a large earnout, of course, is you don't control the business anymore, because you don't control the P&L. So if you want to avoid a situation like that, then spend 2-3 years preparing the business for sale, because you're far less likely to have to only consider an earnout.
Exactly.
And get a premium price for it as well. I mean, the ideal situation, I suppose, is where the business is run by the leadership team, the owner is part-time, and the business still grows top line and bottom line. I mean, that would be perfect, wouldn't it?
Exactly. I mean, that's what you want to get to, where, and that's part of what, that's, letting go. And, that's what EOS really, because you said earlier, it's fine to let go, but you can't just let go. You've got to have, it's all about delegation and, having confidence to let go.
Yeah.
And EOS gives you the confidence to let go, because it gives you a system in place where, you know, you've got, you know, a regular same page meeting. You know who's accountable for what in the business. You've got weekly scorecards, so you can let go with the confidence that you can see how the business is transacting and how it's, you know, and the health of the business on a weekly basis.
And I suppose with that underpin of key information, that gives you more comfort then as an owner, doesn't it? That things aren't going off the boil, or something's not going to bite you in the bottom later on as a business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
So is there a pearl of wisdom that you'd share with the audience that would help them on that road if they're struggling to find an exit strategy? What's the one key tip you'd give a business owner?
Wow, that's quite a question. Implement EOS? No, no. I mean, a tip. I would say build a leadership team. Build a leadership team.
So if you're an owner director and you're the only director, and you've got lots of doers and no one in management or leadership, that's a starting point then.
Build a leadership. Yeah. Build a leadership team, and really ask yourself whether you're a visionary or an integrator. So we have at the top of a business, we have two seats, and one's a visionary, one's an integrator. And the integrator is the person that beats the drum of the company. They're the glue that holds everything together, and they drive accountability and harmoniously integrate how the leadership team plays together to achieve a common vision. And so that's the person that's in the trenches, the day-to-day.
Yeah.
The visionary is the person that likes being at 30,000 feet, comes to every meeting with 20 ideas, is a creative problem solver, hates being in the trenches, hates the tough conversations. So I think if you can be honest with yourself and decide whether you're a visionary or integrator, that's really important, because if you're a visionary stuck in that day-to-day role, you're gonna have these 90-day spikes in your business. Because as a visionary, you're always looking at the next shiny thing. You want to move on to something new. You don't get involved enough at the detail level. So maybe I'm going to take a step back here. So maybe instead of building a leadership team, maybe if you're visionary, find yourself an integrator.
There you go. So which is exactly what I did, funny enough.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go. I ask you for one top tip and you give the audience two. That's
you got two. But first find yourself an integrator and build a leadership team. There you go.
Jason, thank you for your time and your wisdom and experience, actually.
You're
very
welcome.
Helpful to our respective audiences. If people want to get in touch with you, particularly about getting a copy of your book to get you to the 1,000+ free copies,
email me at jg@workcraft.com.
There you go. And you're on LinkedIn as well, I know.
I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah. And so thank you for your time. And I wish you well going forward. Do get in touch with Jason. I think what his messaging and what he's offering is very pertinent to anyone that's looking to sell up one day, but needs to get their house in order before they approach real buyers with real money. So thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Rob. Take care.
Take care.